Okay, everyone? All right, so let's get the notes finished up. And then I'll hand out your practice tests and we'll start in on that. We are on, it's still 2.3, it's all combined. We're on number 7. And we did A yesterday. And now we are going to do B and C, which are the same kind of problem, okay? So, here we go. I have a polynomial, and I know that one of its zeros is 8. So, remember what that means. That means that if you graph it, you know one of your dots is at 8. Your job is to figure out where the other 2 dots are, right? Because there's 3 altogether. So what did we do yesterday to figure that out? We did synthetic division. And you divide by the dot. So we're putting an 8 here. And we're dividing into this thing. And we know what's going to happen. We know we're going to end up, thank you. We know you're going to, who signed that?
Mr. Bailey.
Mr. who?
Mr. Bailey.
Bailey. We know we're going to end up with a 0 here. I know that because they told me that 8 was a 0. They told me 8 goes in evenly. I'm not interested in that. This time, I'm interested in this part, right? Because this is going to tell me what my other factors are. So here we go. And sure enough, what I thought would happen, happened. So we're ready to figure out where the other 2 zeros are, where the other 2 x-intercepts are. So that comes from here. What is this? What does this say right here? X squared plus 4x minus 12. And that should factor for you into what? X, what? Minus 2 plus 6, she says. How can I check that to make sure? Just FOIL it out, make sure it gives me what I want. So it's x squared plus 6x minus 2x minus 12. That looks right. So what are the other 2 zeros? These are your factors. What are the zeros that come out of that? 2 and negative 6. So you're not asked to graph this, but if you were, you'd have a dot at 2 and a dot at negative 6. These dots are the zeros. Those are the zeros.
So on like the test or quiz, in like the answer blank, would you put 2 and negative 6?
You put x equals 2 and x equals negative 6. Yeah, those are the other 2 zeros. All right, one more. Last one. Same kind of problem. So here's my polynomial. And they're telling me that one of my zeros is at 3. Now, I don't have to graph it. I'm just doing that to make it in your mind so you know what you got. You've got one of your dots. Now you're going to find the other 2 because there's 3. And how are we going to do that? How are we going to find the other 2 dots? We're going to divide. And we're going to put in the box the dot number. So 3 goes in the box. And again, I know that's going to be 0. I know it is. I just need to figure out what all this part is right here, thank you. Okay, so here comes the one, so 3, 7, 21, 10, and sure enough, we got it. Okay, so now what? X squared plus 7x plus 10, which factors how? Plus 2 plus 5. So what are my other two zeros? Where would my other two dots go? At -2 and -5? Please do not lose these notes. We have the rest of the chapter to go. But we're breaking it up because there's just too much in the chapter. So we're breaking it up, so we're gonna stop there in the notes. So you can put those aside. Please do not lose them. Put them in a place where you will know where they are. Because after our test, we'll need to get them back out. All right, here we go with our practice test. Are you ready for one? Okie dokie, Smokies, here we go. Which of the following are polynomials? If not, why not? All right, so let's start with the yeses. Are there any yeses? A is a yes. And it'll be like this on the test. If it's a yes, you don't have to explain it. You just write yes. Are there any other yeses?
C.
D.
D. I'm an E. My bad.
D as in dog?
Yes.
That one is a yes. It doesn't break any of the rules. B and C and E are all no's. Why is B a no? X in the denominator. Right? We got it? Can't have it. Alright, why is C a no? X under the radical. Can't be there. And why is E a no? Negative exponent. Can't have it. Now, in those three no's, we hit 3 of our rules. And who remembers the 4th rule? Jose?
Negative exponents.
That one's an E. No, fractional exponents is the other rule. So, Jose, E is no negative exponents. That rule is right there in problem E. Okay, yeah. All right, everybody good on that section? Okay. Number 2, write the equation of the linear function where f of 2 is 3 and f of 4 is 9. Now, is everybody okay with me writing ordered pairs? Because when we say f of 2 is 3, that means 2 comma 3. Write the equation of the linear line. Okay, what do I need to write the equation of a line? I need the slope. So what's the slope? 9 minus 3. 4 minus 2. So 9 minus 3 is 6, 2, 3. Slope is 3. Okay. Now what? That's not the answer, we're not done yet. What do we need to do now?
Y point.
Now pick a point. I'll just use this one because the numbers are smaller. And then y minus the y equals slope times x minus the x. Then I'll distribute. Add 3. And I'm gonna have my linear function. My linear function is 3x minus 3. So f of x function is 3x minus 3. Okay,
So far, is that it?
everybody with the program so far? All right, write the equation of the quadratic function, that means parabola, with a vertex and containing. Now, I noticed on homework, some of you were, it was homework, it wasn't a quiz, it was homework. Some of you were messing this up. When you build your equation, remember, the equation of a parabola looks something like this. I'm making this one up, but that's what the equation of a parabola looks like. And from the equation, you can tell where your vertex is. Your vertex would be at -1, -3, because this went left 1 and down 3. So it's the vertex that comes from the equation. So when you build your equation, this is the point you use. These numbers don't go into the equation. They don't show up in the equation. You use these numbers for something, but not for building the equation. So y is going to equal x minus 1 squared minus 2. That's how you get a vertex that's right 1 and down 2. Right 1, down 2. These numbers go into the equation. Okay? Now, what's missing? I got the vertex part all set here, but what's missing? That number out in front, A. So how do I find A? Now I plug in the other one. Now I plug it in. I plug it in to do arithmetic. It doesn't stay. The 1 and the 2 are going to stay. Those numbers are part of the answer. The vertex is part of the answer. All right, so I put in 2 for y and 3 for x. So 2 goes in for y, 3 goes in for x.
Why is it x minus 1?
Because remember, x minus 1 means you've moved 1 unit to the right.
Oh, okay.
And where's that vertex? 1 unit to the right. All right, what arithmetic do I do first here? Parentheses, so 3 minus 1 is 2, squared is 4. So this is 4a minus 2. So now I'll add 2. Oh wow, that worked out nicely. So a equals 1. So my equation is that. And since it's 1, you don't have to write it down. Usually it's something like 127 for some weird fraction.
The equation's v, 1, -2.
Huh?
The equation's the v, 1, -2.
This is the answer to the question. All right, here's the good news. Cross number 3 off. Not responsible for it. Not doing it. Because you're the nicest teacher in the world. You remember that.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So number 4. Find the vertex, axis of symmetry, and direction of opening. So we're gonna find the vertex, axis of symmetry, and direction of opening for this problem. Okay? So it opens up, she says. Would everybody agree with that?
Yes.
How do I know? That number right there, that A number, that guy right there is a positive 1. Positive's up. All right, now what? X equals, now I gotta figure this out. And how do I figure it out? Negative B, that's B, negative B over 2A. So my axis is X equals negative 2,
Oh, that's 16.
which means that my vertex is negative 2, comma. And how do I find Y? Plug it in. And plug it in carefully. Oh, guys, come on. So, what's negative 2 squared? Negative 2 squared is negative 2 times negative 2, which is positive 4. That's the kind of crap you guys gotta stop doing. Negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4. All right? And then 4 times negative 2 is negative 8, and then minus 3. So what is that Y coordinate? Negative 7. Yep, negative 7. So your vertex is negative 2, negative 7. All right, there's another one just like that. So vertex, axis of symmetry, direction of opening, here we go. Tell me what you know about this. Up, absolutely, because it's got a 3 there, and that 3 is positive. Boys, you focused? Yeah, I'm looking at you. Focused? Okay. We have tests coming up. 5 days till I see you again, actually more than that. It's probably a week. I don't see you for a week. Somehow you gotta remember all this stuff. Focus. All right, what about vertex and axis of symmetry? Gotta be careful because what's my A value here?
3.
My A is 3. What's my B? 0. Because remember, the B term is the one hooked to the X, and that's missing in this problem. So when I do negative B over 2A, it's 0 over 6, which is X equals 0. So my vertex is 0, comma,
0.
negative 8. On next time I see you, maybe our quizzes back too, and that will help kind of refresh some stuff in your brains too. All right, number 5. Temperature varies directly as volume. Temperature varies directly as volume. Guys, you have a choice. It's either going to be temperature equals K times V, or temperature equals K over V. Those are the only 2 kinds of variation that we have done. It's either first thing equals K times second, or first thing equals K divided by second. That's it. Which one is it in this case?
Direction.
It varies directly, so which of these? 1 or 2? 1 or 2? 1. That's your direct variation. So that's your formula. Some of you, I think, messed this up on the quiz because for some reason you chose other variables I would definitely, I think it's easier, use the variables for the quantities. So I'm using T and V in this problem because I've got temperature and volume. All right, if the temperature is 10, then the volume is 28. So 10 in for T and 28 in for V, right? So K equals 10 divided by 28, which I can reduce to 5 over 14. And that rounded off. Then it says, go back to your equation, find the temperature when the volume is 50. Now, you just figured out that K was 5/14. They tell you the volume is 50, so how are you gonna get your temperature? You're going to simply multiply these two together, right? Now, certainly you can do that by hand. You'll have a calculator, so you can do it with a calculator. So the exact answer would be 125 over 7. But if you did it on the calculator, you'll get something else. 17.86. This is the very best, but I know there are people that are going to freak out if they have to use a fraction, so that's okay too. Huh? What do I do? Well, you're gonna round off to something, probably the hundredth, that's what we've been rounding to. Okay, all righty. Now, consider this function. List the possible rational roots. Now, notice I underlined letters there to remind you that the possible rational roots are what I've been calling the PRRs. How do I find the PRRs?
Constant.
Factors, so in this problem, it's gonna be the factors of 6. So every number that divides into 6, divided by the factors of the leading coefficient, which is just 1 again.
Yep.
We'll talk about that in a second, but let's get this problem done. All right, so step 1, A. List the possible rational roots. There they are. Okay? Now, find the factors. Okay, so what do we do? How do we
Yes.
find the factors now? What do we need to do?
Yes.
Yes.
I take the middle number.
But when we guess, you guess from this list. There's 8 numbers in this list. The positives and the negatives. So which one do you want to guess? 2. So I'm going to guess 2. Whatever your guess is goes in the box. And we write these down. Bring the 1 down, and here we go. 2 times 1, add. 2 times 4, add. Oh my gosh!
Oh.
What a good guess that was. Because, what do I want to have happen? What makes a good guess? You get a 0, and that's exactly what happened. I got a 0. So, we're gonna move on, but first, what if we didn't guess well? What if we didn't get a 0? What would we have to do then?
Yes.
Guess again. Guess again. New number. I promise you're gonna guess it. I mean, it's gonna be in the list somewhere. You're going to get it. Might take you 1 or 2 tries, but you'll get it. All right. Find all the factors. So this tells me that one of the dots, because I am going to be sketching it, this tells me that one of my dots, one of my x-intercepts, is at 2. So what is that factor? What is the factor, the parentheses, that x
X minus 2.
will be x minus 2. So that's factor number 1. Where do I get the other 2? Because there's going to be 3 factors. Where do I get the other 2? I take this guy right here, which is x squared plus 4x plus 3,
Yes.
and I factor him. That factors into plus 3 plus 1. So x plus 3, x plus 1 in any order, doesn't matter. And that's the answer to question B. Find the factors. The factors are the parentheses. Now we're going to sketch it. So to sketch it, we gotta finish up the dots. We already have one at 2. The other ones will be where? -3, -1. I know I'm gonna have some kind of squiggly line connecting all these, right? Where do I start? Where does it start?
Bottom.
Bottom. It's a cube. Cube start at the bottom. No bouncing going on, because the only way I could have a bounce is if I had these repeated. Like if I had 2x plus 1s or something. I don't. So that's my picture. Was that not the easiest thing ever?
When it asks find the factors, do you write x equals 2? Oh, that's easy.
These are the factors.
X equals 2.
Those are the factors. Factors are parentheses. Those are the factors. So this is the answer to question B. What are the factors? There they are. What are you doing?
I had to untype it.
All right, number 7. Sketch. Now, the good news is that number 7, it is already factored for you. So what do we do to get this thing sketched? Plot the points. And the points I'm gonna plot are 1 and 2 and -3. Now, gang, every single time I've drawn a picture, I've labeled these points, right? You need to label those points. On quizzes and homework, you're losing points because you're not labeling your points. You've gotta label them. Those are the only ones I have to label, the ones on the x-axis. All right, now what? I sketched this thing, now what? This is not a cube. It's an x to the 5th. And it's not a cube, but it's still odd, right? And so it's still gonna start down here. So this is where odd starts. So there it is, coming up to that dot, that x-intercept. That x-intercept came from this factor. Would you agree with me?
Yes.
That factor is squared. So you're gonna bounce off and turn around, like, turn and come right back down, bounce off. Connect to the next dot. Now that dot, oh my gosh, came from this factor And that one's also squared. It's gonna turn right around, come down. And why did I pass it through that one? Because that one is not squared. Plus, I remembered that x to the fifth is gonna start down and end up, so I knew it was gonna have to do that. Okay? Alright, that was 7, now we're on to 8. Factor and sketch. Now, I have tried to make this as least confusing as possible. I want you to look at problem number 6 that I just erased. If you look at problem number 6 and you look at problem number 8, they look very much alike. But notice, with problem number 6, I said, list the PRRs. I did not say that for problem 8, because problem 8 can be factored by grouping. So that's kind of a little hint I'm giving you. Now, could you still use PRRs with number 8? Absolutely. PRRs will always work. Always. But if I don't specifically ask you for the PRRs, then the problem will group. Okay? So does everybody, anybody, somebody see how this one groups?
X squared.
So we can take out an x squared, leaving us with
X plus 4.
x plus 4. And then we can take out a
Negative 9.
-9, always take out that, if it's a negative, always take out the negative, and that will leave me with x plus 4. This is really good news, because if you're going to factor by grouping, you have to have the same parentheses, and I do. So that's x plus 4.
This board,
Uh-huh.
can I opt to do the PRRs, or do I have to do a grouping?
What?
Do I have to do it by the grouping method?
No.
Or can I do it?
I already said that. No, I said PRRs will always work. Always. So x plus 4, x plus 3, x minus 3. If your job is to sketch this, we need these factors. Because what do these factors give us? The points. Yeah. You can't graph without those points, and the only way to get those points is to have those factors. So now we've got our factors. Here we go. Where do my points go? -4, -3, and 3. This is a cube. Everybody agree with that? It's a cube. Would everybody agree there's nothing unusual about it? There's no bouncing, it's not upside down, there's nothing, it's just a regular old standard cube?
Yes.
So it's gonna start down here. Connect. Okay? Everybody good? All right, let's look at number 9. Here's another factor and sketch. Uh-oh, what's the very first thing I asked you for?
PRRs.
PRRs. You're not gonna be able to group this. You can try, but it isn't gonna work. What are my PRRs?
1. So my
One or
one's -1.
-1. That looks like that's it, guys. Would you agree with that?
Yep.
Then it's either gonna be 1 or -1? All right, so I don't know, 1. says find the roots. Now the roots, guys, are the solutions, the x-intercepts, the dots on the number line. So since one worked, isn't one of my roots one? That's my job, find them. So one of them's 1. Where are the others gonna come from? They're gonna come from this, which is x squared plus 3x plus 1. Now, as soon as I did that division, Joseph L. said, ooh. Cause why?
That doesn't factor.
That doesn't factor. My job is to find what x equals, find the roots. If it doesn't factor and it's a quadratic, I'm gonna use the quadratic formula. I'm gonna have to use the quadratic formula. So here we go. How does that work? You better remember, or I'm gonna come unglued. X equals negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac
Over 2.
over 2a. Yep. There are some things that you just can't ever let go of. Slope, you just gotta know how to find slope. You just gotta know the quadratic formula. Those are, just don't forget those things. All right, so what do I end up with? Negative 3 plus or minus the square root of, what is that? 5 over 2? Now, do the directions say I have to graph this? No, they just said tell me what x equals. So one of the x equals is 1. That's the number that we guess, 1. The other two are negative 3 plus or minus root 5 over 2. So there are 3 answers, because it's an x cubed problem. And there they are. There are the 3 answers. I'm not asking you to graph it, I'm just asking you what does x equal?
Does the plus or minus qualify as the 2 answers?
Yep. Yep, because negative 3 plus root 5 over 2 and negative 3 minus root 5 over 2. Those would be different numbers.
Square root of 3.
We typed them in on your calculator.
Cube of 2.
Alrighty? Alright, number 10. Write the equation of this picture. Alright, so tell me what your thought is. Write the equation of this curve. What do you think? There's an x plus 1 squared, Kaylee says. So let's stop right there. Would you agree?
Yeah.
She says there's an x, what did you say? Plus 3?
Or minus 3.
Minus 3? Squared, she says. Would you agree with that? Is there anything else? There's an x plus 4 that isn't squared. Would everybody agree with that? So these are the factors that come right from the dots on the number line. That looks really good. She put squares on these because look at the curve. See what it's doing right there? Those are bounces. Okay, perfect. Are we done? No, what's missing? A. That guy's missing. You already did a problem today where that was missing. It wasn't this big an equation, but we have to find that number. How do we find it? How do we find A? We plug in this point, which doesn't show up in the equation. Only these get parentheses. That guy is the y and the x that I plug in to find my A. So every x becomes 2, and every y, there's only one, is 10. All right, so here we go. 2 plus 4, 6. 2 plus 1, but it's squared, so it's 9. 2 minus 3,
Plus 1.
squared, so it's positive 1. Those are all multiplied together, so 10 equals 54A. Remember, you're getting A by itself, so you're gonna divide by 54. You're not dividing by 10, you're dividing by 54. So A equals 10 over 54, which divides by 2 to give you 5 over 27. And that's the number that goes right here. And when we write our answer, this is what goes in the answer blank. The whole thing, not just 5 over 27. That's the A part. You need the whole equation. All right, anybody have a question about that? Okay? Synthetically divide, and I set up blanks for you to write the quotient and the remainder, so I'll remind you what that means. But let's do the division first. What goes in the box? Negative 1. What goes across here now? What numbers am I writing down? 1.
Zero.
Beep, 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 beep. Alert, alert, you got a 0 in there. Kids, this will sneak up on you. You must pay attention. We went from a fourth to a square. Does everybody see that? You have to put that 0 and you will miss the problem. You'll miss it if you don't. Everybody okay? All right, so here we go, negative 1. All right, I did that fast. I tend to make mistakes when I try to go too fast. So, tell me what you think about those numbers. Does that look okay? Now, what do I write? This is my work here. Now I have to write something in the quotient blank. What's going in the quotient blank is this, which is x to the third minus x squared minus 2x plus 10. And then in the remainder blank, you can either put negative 12, that's fine, or you can put negative 12 over x plus 1, if you want to write the remainder as a fraction. Are we good with that? Number 12. Should look familiar. It's what we started the period with. We did 2 of these at the very beginning of the period. We have this polynomial, We know that one of the factors is x plus 2, and my job is to find the other 2. So this is my job right here. I need to find those things. What did we do with this problem? Synthetic division. So what did I put in the box? -2. And then 1, -6, -25, -18. And we totally knew that was gonna happen. Because this thing, they told you it's a factor. This is gonna give you the other 2. What is that? X squared minus 8x minus 9. That will factor. Plus 1 minus 9. So what goes in the answer blank? These 2 things right here. What are the other factors? The other parentheses are these guys right here. All right. Finally, number 13. What? What is this? This is a projectile motion problem. What the heck is it doing in here? Let's talk about this for a minute. This is, would you agree? This is a parabola opening down.
Yes.
So what's happened is we have thrown a ball up into the air, and this is its path. That makes perfectly good sense, right? It's a parabola. And the question says, find when the ball reaches its maximum height. Is this the maximum of the parabola? Maximum height? That point is also called the vertex. Aren't I just asking you to find the vertex? And how do we find the vertex of a parabola? X equals negative b over 2a. So negative b over 2a gives me 1. And then how do I find the other part? I plug in 1. So 1 squared is 1 times negative 16. 32 times 1 minus 4. So what is that? 12. Now, here's where it's a little different. That's exactly what you did before, negative b over 2a, no problem. But now, we gotta make sure we're answering the question. In the equation, this was the time, and this was the height. So this is the time, and this is the height. No, the question says, when does the ball reach its maximum height? When is a time question. So 1 second. That's when it reaches its maximum height. What is the 12? The 12 is the feet. How high does the ball go? It goes 12 feet. So remember our box problem where we always got two coordinates and we had to decide which one we were going to use? Same thing here. If the question is about height, you're going to use X. Seconds. If the question is, if the question is about time, you're going to use X. Seconds. If it's about height, you're going to use Y. Feet. every time, that you're using your projectile motion formula. Okay, we have one more quick thing to do, real quick. I need somebody to come to the board. I need a volunteer quickly to come to the board.
Go, Trey. I love you.
All right, quickly.
Yeah.
Awesome.
You saved me?
Huh?
I thought you said me.
Oh, I said quickly.
Oh.
Right, you're good, you're here. I'm happy, you're here. You're good. All right, I want you to find the vertex, axis, symmetry, and direction of opening. Now, Quigley's performance is going to determine your grade. This is a little quiz.
What?
And Quigley's performance is going to determine your grade. So,